biggest things I focus on is helping people to get back to a place of hope. Hope.
The morning show worth talking about. Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin. It's February, the month we celebrate love. We thought we'd bring back some of our highest rated episodes of our first season. Enjoy.
Welcome to Faith at Work. I'm your host, Yvette Gavin. You asked and we've answered. Several of you asked us to bring back the Ask Yvette segment that I did on a former TV broadcast and on my Facebook Lunch and Learn Lives. Well, we're dedicating every fourth Monday to answering your questions as they relate to faith, work, and family. If you have a question for me, go to our website, faithatwork.tv, and submit your questions. Or you can find me on social media with the handle @YvetteGavin. You can also leave your question on our voicemail at the number you see on the screen. So let's get to it. Join me after this short break for answers to your questions.
COVID-19 has changed the way leaders engage teams, and it has caused teammates to shift how they communicate. Effective communication is more important today than ever to a team's growth and overall success. The John Maxwell Leadership Game, implemented by Yvette Gavin Consulting, can help you lead your team into more effective leadership and communication practices. Schedule your workshop today. Call us at 424-262-2462 or email us at yvette@yvettegavin.com. The perfect way to start your day. Family, traffic, meetings, family. All can be stressors in our everyday lives, but spending a few minutes with God can prepare you to take on the world. The Faith at Work devotional is a perfect vehicle to do just that by helping you center on what's most important, your relationship with God. And now, for your donation of any amount, you'll receive a copy of the Faith at Work devotional. Just visit our website at www.faithatwork.tv.
Executive presence has nothing to do with skill and talent. Executive presence is a measure of image. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Ask Yvette segment, and I am so excited to bring this back to each of you. To be honest, I was a little surprised that people were asking me about it, but I am delighted to have this opportunity to just share with you from my heart answers to your pressing questions. So let's get started, shall we? So the first question I have here is, Yvette, you talk a lot about professional presence, and I want to know why I can't just dress the way I want to. Shouldn't a company be more concerned if I do the job than how I look? Well, that is a very interesting question. So I'm just going to summarize that. You're basically saying you feel that you should be able to dress any way you want to as long as you're able to do the job, do the work. Well, the short answer is you can dress any way that you want to. Trust me. But an employer also has the right to say, I don't want someone that dresses this way or that way to be a part of my team. So many people may say, oh, well, that's not fair. That's not right. Of course it's fair. It's definitely fair. An employer has the right to choose what type of culture and environment they are creating within their company. And so how we look and how we show up every day does matter. Keep in mind the environment. You know, I love telling people that I've had the opportunity to coach. If you are a very artistic person who really likes to express their creativity in the way they dress, but the company that you're working for is more of a conservative type company, then you can find ways to still be genuinely you while respecting and understanding the culture where you are employed. So here's one way you can do that. and be successful at it. You know, if you're in a business environment, and most days, especially when there are clients in the office, it is expected that you will wear a business suit. You know, not right now I'm talking to women. Then perhaps you could find a way to bring your level of creativity in the type of jewelry you choose to wear. It could be something as simple as what you put on your lapel, right? It could be something colorful or something that is expressive of who you are. For instance, I had a client once who loves the arts and she loves to dance. And she was able to find a little pin that actually had like a little ballerina figure, if you will, on it. And sometimes she occasionally wore that. And it became a conversation piece for her in the office. Now, of course, I know I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it because I don't want anyone to misinterpret anything that I'm saying here. And that is, when you do these type things, you want to be mindful that you want to always be respectful to every person in your office. So there are many employers that will not allow employees to wear things that have certain words written on them. So I know where we are right now in our society, because I'm here with you guys too. But you will have to make a decision if it's really culturally appropriate for you to wear certain things to work. Like, for instance, I know last year came out of electing our officials, starting with the president and others. And so even at the polling place, right, there were certain things that you can't wear, like what messaging is what I'm referring to on your clothes. But here's the bigger thing I want to talk to you about, that I want you to understand about professional presence and why I do talk about it so much. As the person who sent this question in pointed out, executive presence, professional presence is one of the things I enjoy teaching, because I experience in the marketplace many women. Now, I didn't experience this and see this problem with men, but I did see this problem with many women unable to be promoted or hired into a company simply because the way they showed up for the interview, dressing in a way that wasn't appropriate, or for the interview, or being an employee and showing up every day in a way that senior leaders, those who were making decisions on who would be hired or promoted, coming in, and the only thing that was holding them back was the way that they showed up. The other thing I want to point out is that many people think it's all about how you look and how you dress. Well, executive presence is not just about your physical appearance. Again, your physical appearance matters. But when we look at executive presence, there are three components. The first component is referred to as gravitas. And that's all about how you act. It is your behavior. It is how you consistently show up in your behavior. And I believe the data says that the gravitas counts for about like 85% of people who, the ability of a person being able to get promoted. So again, that has nothing to do with the way you look, right? That's all about your behavior. But one could argue and say, well, your behavior has a lot to do with how you look, because how you show up and how you present yourself does matter. Again, it could be your facial expression. It could be the tone and how you talk to people in the marketplace. And that second one, when we talk about executive presence, is all about communication. Communication, how well do you speak? And it's not so much about how big how big and long and deep your vocabulary is. It is how you speak, like the tone of your voice. And then keep in mind, language is also perceived from our body. So there's a thing called body language. I know you all are aware of that. And so I've been in meetings where, a person at the table had a frown on their face, and we walk out of the conference room, and I've had leaders come to me and ask me, what's wrong with, blank blank? What's wrong with her? And I was like, what do you mean what's wrong with her? There's nothing wrong with her. Well, she looks like she's angry all the time. And so if you get feedback like that, you really want to home in on that and try to look for ways to make sure that in every way, every day, you are presenting yourself in a professional way. Executive presence, which I like to refer to as professional presence, consists of three things. That is how you communicate, it's also your behavior, that gravitas, and it's also how you look. Last thing about how you look is this. The data shows that it's not about being looking like a movie star, being that glamorous actress in the office. Really, the physical appearance is more about neatness. Are your clothes clean? Are they pressed? Is your hair clean? Or did it look like you just rolled out of bed and showed up at work to that day? When we talk about physical appearance in the marketplace, that's what we are referring to. So yeah, I will continue to talk about executive presence, professional presence, because it bothers me to know that a person has the ability and the desire to advance their career, and the only thing that's holding them back is their inability to show up with professional presence. And last thing, I keep saying last, but y'all know, you shouldn't ask me a question about this one, because I can talk about how to get a promotion and why people are not being promoted all day long. But honest, guys, this is critical, because oftentimes it is the one thing that's holding you back. And I always tell people it's best to get in, to be in an environment and influence it while you're in, than trying to come in from the outside and influence it. And what I'm saying about that is that if you understand what is expected in a certain environment, if you want to work in that environment, then look to meet them where they are. Then once you are part of that environment, then you could start trying to educate, help people to get different perspectives, but get in first, before you're trying to force someone to change their policies without even trying to even understand why the policy even exists. Again, 72% of all promotions are typically based on professional presence. And why am I saying that? Because, guys, when we start talking about skills, once you become a SMED and you master it, 9 out of 10, if you look to your right or your left, there's going to be someone else in the organization that have similar or comparable skills. So you start looking at what can you do to actually elevate yourself in that environment, whether you called it professional branding or professional presence. I see them as one and the same. I teach on both of those. And so if you have any more questions concerning this, definitely send them over. And I would love to expand on this particular teaching and help you understand why it is important for you not to just want to show up in an environment any way that you want to, but understand the proper way to do it, so you can be successful in that environment. Okay, I hear you guys. You're saying, girl, give me the next question. Well, here it is. The next question is, oh, wow. Will you be my mentor? Well, I have mentored many people throughout my career. And as some of you may know, I've been a life and a career coach for years. So I have done my share of coaching and mentoring, and I will always be what I refer to a sponsor for people. So here's the deal. I am currently not accepting any more mentees, and basically because of my schedule. But I know for a fact that I have been able to plant seeds in helping others develop their careers, grow spiritually, as well as really just grow their marriages into where they're in a thriving place. And in the process of doing that, I love teaching where I can mentor someone or coach someone so they too can pass it on. So I have mentees out there, former coaching clients that are teaching others right now. And I would be more than happy to refer you to any one of them, and even some of my peers that I've met along the way. But currently today, no, I'm not accepting any mentees. But Faith at Work, this broadcast right here is your opportunity to be coached or mentored by me, because in every single segment, every show, I am sharing with each of you from my heart. You know, the things that we choose to share from the monologue as we open up, those are things that I've grown through and learned from as I've been growing spiritually. Our leadership handbag segment is all about giving you information back that has helped me develop my career. And sometimes it won't be just my personal career. We're sharing and developing material for you that we're learning from others that they've been able to develop, use to develop their careers. So in many ways, I am your coach, if you will, or your mentor. And last thing, it won't even be the last thing because, I was just thinking, too often people think that their mentor has to be someone that's right in front of them. I've shared with you that John Maxwell is my mentor. But I've had many mentors. But John Maxwell is a mentor that I've never just sat down with him, in his office or in his home. He became my mentor because I chose him. I loved his leadership skills, and I started purchasing his books. I started reading. I started learning. I would go see him every opportunity that I had to see him live. And then when I had an opportunity to join his organization and become a John Maxwell speaker, leader, and teacher, trainer, as well as a coach, I seized that opportunity and jumped right on it. And in that process, I actually met John Maxwell. And then, of course, there's a coaching call that I have with him along with others because it is a group coaching call. I'm sharing this, I have with him every week, actually. I'm sharing this information to give you some ideas on multiple ways to get mentorship. So it's not always just someone one-on-one where you're in their face physically or you're talking to them directly over a phone one-on-one. So if you're serious about getting a mentor, those are two ideas that, I've shared with you just now that you can consider. The other thing I want you to consider is this. Do you really need a mentor? So sometimes people will ask for a mentor when they really need is a coach. And then there are times when people are asking for a mentor and they don't even really need the coach based on where they are in their career. What you may need is just a sponsor. So what's the difference? And here it is. A coach is a person who's going to share with you from their perspective, from things that they've learned in their own lives and their own careers. A coach is a person who is typically certified. And I always like to say the difference between the two is that a mentor you probably will never have to pay. A coach will, because it's typically a profession for them. So there's going to be some type of service fee to have a relationship with them. But a coach has skills in how to do active listening, how to ask leading questions to help you get to the right answer for you. A coach can be someone who've never even worked in the field that you're in, but they can still help you because they've been trained. And so there's a difference between the two. So you decide, is it really a mentor you need right now? Or perhaps do you actually need to invest in a coach? And let's say you're at that place in your career where you don't really need that coach nor the mentor. What you really need is that sponsor. A sponsor is an advocate. Typically your sponsors will be people who are of influence, I should say, in the current organization where you're working at, or it is a person of influence at a place where you want to be. And I mean by that, so perhaps, you want to be on a board. You want to be on an executive board for a nonprofit organization, let's say. You meet someone who's actually on the board or has influence with selections for that board. You want to build a relationship with that person. But that person is neither your coach nor your mentor. You build a relationship, which I always refer to a warm relationship, where it's not like you're calling them every day, but they know you by name. You can they'll answer the phone when you call. That's what I mean by a warm relationship. And that person understands what your career goals and desires are. So when they hear and see opportunities that fit in with your personal goals, they think of you. They advocate for you. They mention your name. They recommend you. And oftentimes, your sponsor will be a person who has information that you wouldn't readily have about opportunities. So guys, I hope that helped you a little bit. So I have about 2 more questions I think we're going to have time for. But I'm going to hold those 2 questions until we come back after the break. So don't you go anywhere. Come back, and I am going to continue to ask, well, I'm not going to ask questions today, but I am answering your questions right after this break.
So, what are people really saying about Yvette Gavin Consulting?
Yvette has been outstanding. It's great to have you. I've enjoyed, the quality of your work. I can tell you serve your clients well.
Training, coaching, leadership program development, keynote speaker.
I decided to no longer look at those little disappointing situations or the setbacks as setbacks, but I began to realize that everything, good and bad, positive and negative, had a message for me.
To find out more about Yvette Gavin Consulting or to book Yvette for your next event, please call us at 424-262-2462. You can email us at yvette@yvettegavin.com, and you can also visit our website at yvettegavin.com.
If I wanted to help my colleagues, I'd call up Yvette Gavin.
Welcome back, guys. Let's get to this next question. It reads, I am going through some issues in the office with my manager. He's saying things about me that are not true, and I am wondering if I should be looking for another job. Do you think I should quit or trust God to change things at work? Yeah, okay. When I read this, the first thing comes to mind to me is Isaiah 54 and 17th verse, where the word of God says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against you, you should condemn. And so what I'm saying to you is that the choice is yours. You could run, but I don't advocate running from problems. As a woman of God, you are more than a conqueror. So don't get into a habit of running away from things. Look at the situation and see what it is trying to teach you. What do you need to learn in this experience? And one thing could be, this is an opportunity for you to grow your faith and trust God. If we look at the scripture, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Just that little piece right there tells me that things will happen, like a boss could be saying some things about you that are not true, as you've said. So in other words, he or she is lying. So that's something that's been formed against you, but you have a promise that it will not prosper. So what does that mean? It's not going to take you out. But here's the piece that I feel most people miss. It's the second part of that scripture. And that verse says, every tongue that rises up against you, here's a key word here, you shall condemn. So let's just break that down in your situation. When we condemn a house, what do? We say that nobody can even walk in it, use it, it's unlivable. So the word of God doesn't say that God, is going to condemn it. It says you must do it. And how can you do that? The first thing comes to mind when I'm in a similar situation where I need to condemn something, like there's a weapon being formed that's trying to come after me, is that I realize I have to make sure that the way I live proves that what someone has said negatively about me is false. Just simply by my behavior, my character, you can prove someone wrong. The next thing I want you to consider with this portion of that verse in Isaiah, you can condemn. And it really starts with your thinking. When I hear certain things that people are saying, and words can hurt, right? A lot of times, people are like, I don't care what they say, it don't bother me. No, you should care because they can hurt. Words can hurt your reputation. Words can prevent opportunities for you, especially in the marketplace. So you condemn those things yourself by speaking what I like to refer to as the reverse positive of what's been said. So I'll give you an example of how you can do that. If someone is saying that you are not capable of leading a project, then you need to first start with your own thought and tell yourself, I am more than capable of leading XYZ project and being successful. Then you start speaking it out and you start sharing it throughout the environment. Every person I would see in the office, I would be telling them, I would love the opportunity to be the project manager on XYZ project, and I know I could do a great job. I can add a lot of value to this project, and I would be sharing those things. That's how I want you to start from a spiritual standpoint and learn to how to really go into battle spiritually. Now, someone else who's probably like an HR professional would say, oh, you need to go to HR and tell HR about these things that your boss is doing. I would have to know exactly what it is and have a little bit more detail in order to recommend that, because I am not a strong advocate. Y'all can just home in all my HR professional friends, which I have many whom I respect a lot. I'm just not a strong advocate of running to an HR department to complain about someone else on staff. So it really would have to be something severe, like extremely severe, like true sexual harassment, because there's no tolerance for things like that. Someone doing some horrible thing of discrimination, then I would take that to HR. But if we're talking about a boss saying, I said something was blue when I actually said it was red, no, you deal with that from a spiritual standpoint. And this last question, I'm going to have to answer it really quick because I can see that we're about to run out of time, is this. I just learned that I'm pregnant and I am not sure if I should tell my boss now because there may be a layoff. My husband says I should wait, but my mother says I should tell them now because they can't lay me off if I'm pregnant. I would say look at your company policy. Now, what I do know is that from a federal law standpoint, an employer cannot fire you or let you off, lay you off because you're pregnant, because that is illegal. But no employer is crazy enough to say that's why they're letting you go. And so when they can do, though, if you're pregnant, is lay you off for other reasons. For instance, if the entire organization is being disbanded, then of course you're going to be laid off, because whether you were pregnant or not, that would still be the condition. So I know there's so much more I could share with you about that, but our time has come to an end today. So I'm going to stop with that one. If you have a question that you would like for me to answer, I really encourage you to go to our website at faithatwork.tv and submit your questions, or you can find me on social media and submit your questions there. Well, guys, you know how I like to do it. I am Yvette Gavin, reminding you that faith without works is dead.